Welcome into the Quest Number 9 podcast. My name is Seth Warner, and today we're going to talk about Kentucky basketball from fans' perspective. On this episode, we're going to be reacting to Kentucky's 82-69 loss at Georgia. And in this game, Kentucky got physically dominated. I felt pushed around, especially in the last third of the first half and pretty much all of the second half. We went on our runs for stretches, but this team just digged themselves a hole that I felt like they couldn't get out of. With a poor offensive performance, Wildcats being 25 of 64 from the field and 6 of 25 from 3, getting out rebounded 41 to 4, only 7, but they had a lot of offensive rebounds, having 13 and having multiple plays where I got tipped out of bounds and it was going to stay Georgia's ball. And the real big difference was Georgia shot 38 free throws while Kentucky shot 19. They made 29 free throws while Kentucky made 15. You see there's a big free throw differential, but one thing that I really see is Kentucky fouled 25 times and Georgia fouled 20 times. There was a big talk about the fouls, and Kentucky got a few bad calls, I felt like, but overall it was pretty good. But I felt like Georgia was more the aggressor, and Kentucky had, even though they got dominated physically, that rebounding could have been more. Like I was saying, they got a lot of second chance points, a lot of different advantages. Like I was saying, I felt like there were a few missed calls, but overall I felt like it was pretty solid overall. But a lot of Georgia's fouls were going downhill, or they would be tip balls, loose ball fouls, and that was after they were in the bonus, so that was automatic free throws. And it was just a very rough and physical game, and Kentucky just got stuck in a few bad spots where fouls were called. And with Kentucky, our front court got in a lot of foul trouble early on. Amari Williams, Andrew Carr. Amari had one or two that I wasn't sure about for fouls. Andrew Carr just struggled with some of the physicality and didn't know how to attack back, I felt like. He had 5 rebounds and just 6 points. Amari having 2 points and 5 rebounds. Otago, I thought, played okay. He had 12 points and 7 rebounds with 1 assist. And another big thing for Kentucky in this game was we had a high turnover amount, having 14 turnovers, where in the last game we only had 6. And Georgia had a high-ish turnovers, having 15, but Georgia's a high turnover team coming into this game, having one guy having 10 turnovers in one game. And one guy there was looking at coming to the game was Ace Newell, the freshman that's really talented. He's a 5-star coming into the year, probably top 15, top 10 pick, somewhere in there. He played well, but it was kind of quiet. I felt like he had 17 points with 7 rebounds and 2 assists. He had 2 turnovers also, and I felt like he was somewhat quiet physically. I thought he had some good transition ability. He played more the 4 than I thought he would, being 6'10", 6'11", being still a very raw guy, playing 34 minutes. Was really efficient, made 2 threes, but was 2 for 5. And really, no one truly hurt us in this game. Blue Kane, the shooter, 6'5" sophomore from Knoxville, who's been in a shooting slump to start this year, had 15 points. He was 4 for 10 from the field and 2 for 5 from 3 with 8 boards. They didn't shoot particularly well, shooting 41% from the field, 29% from 3. Better than Kentucky, but not particularly well. But Kentucky shot better from the free throw line, but like I was saying earlier, more attempts. And another big takeaway for Kentucky is assists. Only 8 assists on 24 made field goals, where last game Kentucky had 25 assists on 37 made field goals. So you really see the difference. And last game they were really spread around, with Butler having 8, both of the starting bigs having 5, Garrison having 3, and just being spread around. And one guy that really brought the physicality for this Georgia team, it's a name that you probably recognize, Santos Surreal, former Kentucky commit. He was a high 4-star coming out of this coming year's class. Was a really raw prospect coming out of Overtime Elite. He had 6 points and 8 rebounds. He ended up fouling out of the game, playing 19 minutes at about 6'10", 6'9", 6'10", really physical athlete. His 40-inch vertical. They have him listed at 6'11", but at Overtime, that's what his measurements were. And it'll be interesting going forward with this Georgia team. Like every team in the SEC, you can't underestimate them. Florida ended up blowing out Tennessee. They also came on at 7 o'clock on Tuesday. So that was an interesting matchup. And Florida beat them by like 29. They were up above 30 for most of the game. And they just got bullied. Just like Kentucky did. A better performance probably from Kentucky, but I think Tennessee only made like 4 or 5 field goals in the whole first half, not getting over 40 points in the game, and overall just being a big slug fight that Tennessee got knocked out. And overall with Kentucky in this game, it's a game-to-game basis in the SEC. They're going to have hard matchups. Next game up is Mississippi State on the road in Starkville, a place where Kentucky hasn't lost in a long time. It's been a long time. My whole lifetime we've never lost there. The one time we lost to them under Coach Cal was the year 2020 that we were so bad, when we lost to them in the SEC tournament. So, and like I was saying, in this game, we just really struggled with some of the physicality. I felt like we came out okay. We were right there with them. We had like a 3-point lead, and then we went on a run. Got it up to a 6-point lead, and then they went on a big 9-point run that put them up about 5. And then we cut it to like 3-1. And then after that, really, Kentucky just got dominated, I felt like, physically, and was never able to get continual stops and just be able to control the possession, control the pace of the game and how they wanted to play it. And with Kentucky also, like I was saying, only have 8 assists. We had 25 fouls to only 8 assists. With, like I was saying, the 2 bigs each having 4. Jackson Robinson, who really struggled in this game, had 4 fouls. Mentally, he just did not play well. He was 1 for 5 with 2 rebounds, 1 assist. Was 2 for 2 from the free throw line. And overall, just kind of fell out of it. He has his highs and lows. He had some similar things. I saw some stats of him at BYU. Hopefully he can just find his identity. I feel like there were a lot of talk about after the game on Saturday, him going out and getting shots. And it wasn't like something, he made an Instagram story of him going after the game to get shots up. It's more of a mental thing that he needs to continue to work through. And his physical skill and just athleticism hasn't shown through. He's never been a good finisher around the rim or getting downhill. But he has some of that profile with some of his lengthy ability. But he just needs to get a rhythm. And like in the Duke game, I saw some energy plays. He was disruptive on defense. He did a good job of playmaking for others and rebounding. He didn't do a lot of those things in this game, and I felt like that really hurt us. Kind of the guy that will come in for him is Kobe Brea. He played 27 minutes. He was 2 for 7 from the field and 2 for 9 from 3 with 3 rebounds and 6 points. He struggled also, especially from the field, but I felt like he still gave us some energy and just some hustle on defense. But it's hard when both of them are really struggling to shoot the ball. When athletically Jackson Robinson can make up with some of that on defense, where Kobe Brea struggles to move laterally more. But Kobe Brea is giving you more energy and is probably locked in more on defense. And then Brandon Garrison, like I was saying, both the bigs had fouls, so he had to play a lot. He ended up playing 27 minutes, was 5 for 8 from the field, 1 for 1 from 3, 5 rebounds, and 2 assists with 13 points. I would really like to see that rebounding number a lot higher for playing 27 minutes. And Amari Williams only ended up playing 13 and had 5. So they had the same amount of rebounds, and he played 14 more minutes. So that just shows you some of the physicality Amari Williams struggled with. But I felt he had some really good stretches. Brandon Garrison's just very much up and down. He had a full court. We created a turnover, and he got the ball, went full court, Euro into a finger roll. So he had that nice move, and then he would get lost on defense sometimes. Rebounding he would struggle with. Yeah, or like one time he had a really nice block, and then they got it, and then that would turn into a shot. Overall, I think defensively, we just need to see some more physicality because we're giving up too many second chance points, and a lot that number for them for offensive rebounds would be a lot higher if you would include balls that are tipped out of bounds that are off the offense, because that happened, I know, at least 3 or 4 times, and they already had 13 offensive rebounds. We had 12, but still, that's like 17 or 18 possessions that they're getting extra, and that's 6 more than we get, especially when we're shooting worse from the field, worse from 3, and just a little bit better from the free throw line, and they're shooting a lot more volume. And they had almost 30 points from the free throw line. So Kentucky, I feel like, just needs to have a game-by-game basis and a mental focus, is I think the real thing they're missing in this scenario. And another physical team, like I was saying, in Mississippi State coming in on the road, and we're always going to have to reset and see what's coming next, especially in college basketball. And also, another example, UConn lost to Villanova, who I haven't seen a whole lot of this year, but has a pretty good start to the season. But they lost at Villanova, who's an unranked team, by 1, but they still ended up losing. So that just shows you anyone can be anyone, especially this year in college basketball, and especially when you play in a really talented SEC team. And moving on to Mississippi State, this Mississippi State team has a really good start to the year, being ranked 14th in the country at 14-1. With their lone loss being to Butler in November. So this Mississippi State team seems like they've grown a lot since then. Coming in this year, they've had a little bit of turnover with Tolu Smith graduating. That was probably their best player last year, averaging 15 and 8 with assists per game. He didn't play a whole lot of games last year, only playing 23 games, averaging 28 minutes a game. So he's a big physical 6'10", 6'11" big that they're now missing. But coming into this year, Josh Hubbard, who was one of the best freshmen in the SEC last year, he's made a sophomore jump, I felt like. This year he's averaging 17 points. Last year was averaging 17 points. This year he's brought up his field goal percentage and three-point percentage quite a bit more, shooting almost 43% from the field and shooting 38% from 3. And also being a better playmaker, averaging almost 3.5 assists compared to 2 last year. So He's done a better job of getting his teammates involved, being that more lead guard. Curran Matthew, if you watched this game last year, or watched Kentucky play Mississippi State last year, you would have noticed him, the senior 6'7", 235-pound forward, averages 8 points, 7 rebounds, and 4 assists. Who's really physical, helps interior, will be kind of that physical force since Tolu Smith is gone. He's not going to be that post threat like Tolu was, but he's still going to be that dominant interior player. And another guy that Mississippi State has kind of developed over the last 2 or 3 years is Kashawn Murphy. He's a junior this year, 6'10", 230, averaging about 10 points and 8 rebounds, shooting 52% from the field, 73% from the line with 7 rebounds, a block a game with 2 assists. And he's really made a jump from this year to last year, averaging about 4.5 more points per game, and really showing off some of his athleticism and I think physicality. And playing the 4 spot at 6'10", 230 gives this Mississippi State team a lot of size. Another guy that's going to be physical and is going to give Kentucky, I think, some problems, or is going to be their other big man on the inside, is RJ Hendon. He's averaging 8 points, 3 rebounds. He's shooting 33% from 3, almost 50% from the field. The transfer from Georgia is averaging about 20 minutes a game, averaging 8 points. So that's really their interior rotation, playing those real 3 guys. And another guard on the perimeter that's really going to be a threat, I think, for Kentucky is Harrison Jr., the transfer from Boston College. Has been shooting the 3 ball particularly well, shooting almost 39% from 3, 71% from the free throw line, and this year it's been almost a 2% jump in his 3-point percentage, and also shooting 42% from the field. And he's averaging 11 points per game, and he's going to be the real spacer that this Mississippi State team the last few years has really struggled without, and really hasn't had that identity to be able to spread the floor with Tolu Smith and some of their other bigs to collapse on, other than Hubbard, who's their main creator and shooter on the floor, where last year he was really their only shooter. And now he can really play his role as the creator, and Harrison Jr. can be more that off-ball guard to spread the floor. And that's all from the Quest from 9 podcast. My name is Seth Warner. And if you like this video, please like and subscribe. And if you like this content, you can find me at questfrom9.com. I write there, and I'll give you more information about these topics of Kentucky basketball. And you can find me at questfrom9 on Instagram and at questfrom9 on Twitter, aka X. And I will see you next time.